And now, here's our host.
All right, in this video, I'm actually going to go over one of the challenges that I came across ever since purchasing my new MacBook Air. There's the MacBook Air right there. Great machine. I love it. It's a 2011 edition. Amazing machine. I mean, it's so fast. It's awesome. Anyways, so one of the problems ever since upgrading to, well, actually it came pre-installed with Lion, but one of the problems that everybody's been kind of coming into is that you can't turn off the monitor on the devices that on the machines that have Lion installed on them. So you can't turn it off while you're plugged into an external monitor. Now, obviously, this is the 11-inch MacBook Air, and I have it actually just propped up on one of these stands or whatever. But so it's kind of a pain in the butt. Sometimes I like to use the dual screens, where I can run off this screen and that screen at the same time. But there's a lot of times when I'm doing a video, like a screen capture using like ScreenFlow, and one of the problems that I come into is that I have to be like running off of this menu bar up here, which really sucks if I have the big display and then I'm using the little display for my menu. And I know there's a way of switching it around, at least that's what people said. But that still doesn't really fix it for me because I sometimes I just don't want to use that display. I just want to use this display. The only workaround for the Lion, and actually before I even go into that, I'll show you on Snow Leopard. This is actually my 2006, I think it's a late 2006 model. This was the way that you had to do it before. So once you turned it on, all you need to do, let me make sure it's in the shot right here. So if I wanted to work with dual displays, which I did a lot, oops, I think I have it upside down. So go ahead and plug that into my external monitor right there. And now you can actually see this is an extension of this screen right here. But there was a lot of times that I didn't want to run both screens, that I just wanted the one screen. So when you're using Snow Leopard, or even earlier than that, I believe it worked in Leopard and also in Tiger as well, I believe. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, so all you needed to do was close it. So once you close the display and it was plugged in still, then all you needed to do was wake up the computer, and then it would actually boot to that. So if you want me to show you real quick, hopefully this should actually work. Yeah. So now I just woke it up using my mouse, and now it's just on here. So you can actually see that, the dock and everything is here. So now what I could do, and this was the main thing right here, is I can actually open this and leave that open, so that way it got good airflow and the fan didn't kick on all the time, which was important because I didn't want it to overheat. And I also didn't want the fan running all the time, especially if I was recording with a microphone or something like that. I didn't want it picking up a bunch of fan noise or anything like that. Unfortunately, with all the Lion, people that are running Lion, you can't do this. It just doesn't work. Instead, it wakes back up, and I'll actually show you on that. So let me show you real quick. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. Undo that. Take that out. Plug that in here. Let's go back in there. Okay, so now running Lion, actually I need to switch this and go back to there we go. Put that back in there. Might as well screw these in since I'm not going to go back to the MacBook Pro. And for any of you guys out there that are wanting to, that are maybe running an older machine like this MacBook Pro 2006, I was researching a lot because I really wanted the MacBook Air to travel, and I just wasn't sure if it was powerful enough to run a lot of my systems and programs. And I just, I didn't want to buy, I wanted something smaller because the MacBook Pro is just an amazing machine. But after my last trip I took to at an internet marketing seminar that I had to go to in Raleigh, it was called the Warrior Networking event. I think it was the 3rd annual. Anyways, when I went and I was getting on the plane, we flew Southwest, and I put this up on the tray, and I'm about to turn it on. I'm like, man, it had to like stay closed. It couldn't like fit on that actual tray, and I was afraid anytime the person would actually move in front of me, like back a little bit, it would crack my screen or break it or something like that. So this was a monster to carry around on a plane. So I decided I'm just going to go with this right now, and then eventually I'll either buy an iMac or another MacBook Pro that'll be strictly just for home. And I just gave this one to my wife instead. So I'm using the MacBook Air, and that's it right now, because I don't like to be just in one place, and I want to be able to move around a lot. It just seemed kind of a waste to run on different machines. So anyways, so for some of you guys wondering, should you go MacBook Air or MacBook Pro? If you don't, I do video editing. I don't do like high-end. I don't use Final Cut Pro anymore or anything like that. I do use iMovie, and I use a lot of ScreenFlow. So I use that a lot, and so I'm doing that a lot. And this MacBook Air, fast enough, awesome. This is way faster than the MacBook Pro. So if you're deciding between the two, this machine is amazing. So you could definitely use this as your full-time machine. Now, depending on how aggressive you're going to be with it. But again, I'm running ScreenFlow, I'm running iMovie, and I'm using those pretty much every day. So definitely strong enough for any of those things that you're doing right there. So let me show you real quick. So once we plug this in right here, this is the Thunderbolt display, because this is the 2011 MacBook Air. So Thunderbolt, and this actually is in the Thunderbolt cable. Obviously, this is just the mini cable. I forgot what they call it, the mini cable VGI or VX. I don't know. I'm not a techie guy, so I dumb it down. So it's that cable. How's that? So mini display port, I think is what it's called. It was like $20 or something like that. Anyway, so now that I plugged it in, you've seen this jumped on. So this is just an extension now of my screen. Let me actually shrink some of these things down there. I don't know what I was working on. I think I was writing a blog post or anything. Anyways, so now you can see this is an extension of my screen, which is the same thing that happened on the MacBook Pro. But I don't want to run, I don't want to run dual displays on this right now, because I want the full real estate of the 22-inch that I'm using right here, and I don't want to be going back and forth and looking at the small 11-inch right here, even though the 11-inch looks great. It's just a little too far, and I just want to use this one side right now. So unfortunately, when you close this puppy right here, now that it's closed, it will, hold on. Okay, so now it's just using this screen right here, so that's great. But now if I want to open it back up like we did on the MacBook Pro, so I can get some air in it, and so that way it doesn't overheat or anything like that, you'll see that Lion just saw, oh wow, you opened it. You must want to have dual displays again. So there's no real way of doing that. So after lots and lots of searching on the web, I searched for a long time, here's what I ended up having to do. So here is the workaround. So all these displays, these lids, they actually have magnets here. So you've got the metal thing right here, and then you got the magnets. Actually, the magnets are in here, and then it would each MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, they all have a different placement of where the magnets go, in order for it to think that it's that it's closed, that it's completely closed. Because the only way I can run it right now, if I want to just have that as a display, is I would have to close it to at least right there. So it's about that much open right there, and that's just not enough room to basically to circulate some air. It'll constantly be, the fan will constantly be running. So in order to trick it, so you want to trick it to thinking it's actually closed. So the way to do that is you have to find out where the magnet is on your particular model. Now, obviously, this is the MacBook Air, so it's going to be in different placement. I've seen some of the MacBook Pros, I believe it was over here somewhere, or down here, I think it was, somewhere like that. And there's a way of testing, is basically you just take like a paper clip and you run it across the lid, the top of it right here, to find where it actually, is. And it'll actually just, you'll feel the magnet stop, obviously the paper clip or whatever magnetic or non-magnetic thing that you're using right there. You're just using a piece of metal of some sort. Now, obviously be careful that you don't scratch your screen. You can just tear off a piece of paper. I just tore this little piece of paper off, and then put the piece of metal above it and just kind of go across like that, or whatever you want to use. So that way you don't scratch your display or your screen on accident. So what I'm going to use is I'm just going to use this magnet. So this is actually just a little, you can see right here, a little happy face magnet right on the back right there. And I bought like a pack of these at the dollar store for $1. So again, you can use any magnet. I was trying to use one of these magnets that you get like off of like recipe things that realtors give you and stuff. I tried cutting it, but this one was just a little too small and not strong enough. So I'm going to find another one, because you want to use something like this, so that way if you accidentally close this completely, you don't crack your screen or mess it up when you have this on there in case you forget. So I'm just going to use this right now as this example right here. So in the MacBook Air, the placement is actually right here. So the magnet is actually here, and this is where this model, the MacBook Air, actually has the sensor, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. So once this and this touch right here, as soon as it feels a magnet, then it shuts off and thinks it's off, and then it'll just run off there. So use a piece of paper. Again, you can, if you don't want to sit there and look at like a piece of paper or sticking out like that, you can just tear around it. But I'm just going to use it like this right here. So you're just going to place it right here, and you actually see that it'll feel the magnet like right away. See? So the monitor just went off. So you can actually just like that. Now you'll notice this is actually going to turn back on. So there you go. So you can see now that it actually did that. So I don't think this is actually strong enough, because I'm at an angle that it's actually going to, let me see if I can get it to, oh. I guess it stays like that. Obviously, if your MacBook Air is flat, then it's going to be fine staying there. But unfortunately, because of the angle that I have this MacBook at, it's not really staying. So let me see, because it's going to be right here. So that's actually where you want it to stay. So as long as you have it right there, then it will it'll actually just run off that one display. So you can see now we're just on one display, and then it's going to stay. So I didn't test this before the video as far as being in this thing right here. So unfortunately, that's not going to work. So I'll have to just take it off here, because if I do this, it's just going to drop right off, because for some reason it's just not strong enough to stay on there. But when the MacBook is on a flat surface, so let me go ahead and move this real quick. Whoops. There we go. So now I can actually just keep it right here. So there's no reason for me even to use a stand right now. So I can just leave it like this, and we're all good. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and got some value from it. And don't forget to be a rock star in your business and in your life.